At LinkedIn, you can go to a networking event 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and all your ideal clients live there. And so you can just start chats with everyone. So there's just this massive ignorance gap in small businesses where people are really good at what they do, but they just suck at selling.
For people listening to this, right, thinking, getting excited now, thinking, okay, I can make a lot of money on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
What's the do's and don'ts? Like, is this B2B?
The way to win now is you want to become the only option in a specific sub-niche. So you only need like 5 to 50,000 followers in a certain sub-niche. Everything you write about is solving these problems for these people, but dipping in and also talking about yourself personally. The only time, though, that you can become consistent with content and drive leads is if you fall in love with the writing process. I've never seen someone be successful on LinkedIn if they didn't enjoy actually writing content. Impossible.
For people who, let's say, using LinkedIn or people who don't really use LinkedIn, if they knew that they could make millions on LinkedIn through customer acquisition, why should they listen to you?
Okay, so why should they listen to me? I always believe in like proof first. So just our business alone, we booked 2,300 meetings through my LinkedIn profile in 2024 through organic content and DMs and building our profile into a funnel. I also coach 635 small business owners from all around the world, from all different industries, from like financial advisors, but a massive agency, or to new starting entrepreneurs to generate leads on the platform. We've got dozens of people making 6 and 7 figures through the platform. And I think when you think about LinkedIn in total, it has the best opportunity right now for any social media, because compared to Twitter or X, 32% of people post. On LinkedIn, only 1% of people post once a week. And most of that content is garbage. And so if you grab your phone, or someone's phone, and you scroll through LinkedIn, the content's garbage most of the time. Compared to, TikTok and Instagram, it's amazing. So you're competing in a place where traditionally the content sucks. So if you can be a big fish in a little pond. And not only that, on LinkedIn, it has the best targeting software available. So you can find out pretty much how much money someone earns, exactly where they're located within, 5 miles of your house, exact industries, how long they've been in roles when they move jobs. So it allows you to pinpoint the best possible people, and the average LinkedIn user makes 3 times as much money as all other socials. So the reason people don't use it, I think, is because the actual platform sucks. It's terrible. The UI is shit. No one wants to log in, but that's where the opportunity actually lies.
How did you end up on LinkedIn?
That's a funny story. So I was never passionate about LinkedIn at all. I won't go into any backstory or anything, but like I started working in sales in 2018. Before that, I was in accounting and I was making coffee and stuff. And I was trying to look for another thing of what to do. And I actually got a job at Zoom, so the video conferencing company. And this was before COVID. And so this is before anyone knew what Zoom was. And I'd call people up and I'd be like, hey, you want to buy Zoom meetings? Like Mr. Legal firm. And they'd be like, no, we only do in person. And so they were, and then COVID happened and then the company exploded. I kind of like learned a bunch of skills there and fell in love with sales itself and the psychology behind it. And then after there, left and co-founded another company. We grew to $1 million a year, and I did it through cold calling. And so I've always kind of like enjoyed helping small businesses, especially. And then when I left that company in November 2022 or 23, I was deciding what to do, and I just chatted to a few people and realized had a good knack of sales and lead gen. And so I was like, I'll help small business owners. And it took me about 8 months of working out. I used to cold call like for, let's say an accounting firm, and I'd book them meetings, but like they would never be able to close it because they didn't have a sales process. And so it took me ages to work out that most small business owners only need a couple of leads per week. And I remember when I heard someone say it at a networking group one day. They said, if all I had was a couple of leads a week, that's all I need. And I remember thinking to myself, like, you can easily do that on LinkedIn. I used to do that at Zoom on LinkedIn or the other companies. I used to message people. And then I kind of just had the realization that, okay, people don't need 10 meetings a week for their business. They just need a few leads. And then I was like, all right. And so I just essentially launched a program, first beta, and I sold like 25 people in, hadn't built anything. I was like, all right, I got to build it. And so over the next 6 weeks, we built it. And then I was like, people got really good results. And I was like, cool. And that was 18 months ago. And now we've got like about 635 people in our program. And it just honestly happened naturally because the only goal I wanted to do was help build small business owners generate leads themselves without having to rely on any agencies or anything like that. Because everyone's had horror stories when they've just spent 30 grand on an agency and maybe the agency was giving them good Facebook ads, but they just couldn't sell. And so there's just this massive ignorance gap in small businesses where people are really good at what they do, but they just suck at selling and they suck at lead gen. But with 3 to 6 months of upskilling, they can kind of get to amateur pro. And then when they're at that level, they kind of see the gaps. And then they can kind of, when they do engage an agency, they know what's up. They know how to actually spot what's happening instead of just being stuck in this perpetual like feast or famine where they'll take on new clients because they don't have enough leads and they'll do extra work or they'll discount and they just get in this like vicious cycle over and over again. So I just want to help them break out of that.
I was just laughing because I was one of those idiots who paid 30 grand, obviously to an agency overseas, and as we discussed. Let's rewind back quickly. Yeah. So before Zoom, did you have sales experience?
No, none. I dropped out of school when I was 16. I was like a bad kid, was very lost, didn't know what to do. And then I just moved around like 20 different jobs. But I think one thing that I always did consistently was, I worked in fast food when I was a kid. I ran a pizza shop, I had all my buddies, super fun. I've always talked to loads of people every day. And, when you run a coffee shop or you work in hospitality, that's what I did for a long time. Mm-hmm. If you have to chat to 500 people every day, you have to be kind of like a chameleon and you have to kind of adapt. And so I think a lot of anything requires just boatloads of reps. And I think just one thing that did help was being able to identify different types of people and have a conversation with them and kind of catering for them and being like a chameleon. So I think no sales experience, but I think that really did help a lot.
Was there like a sales trainer or framework at Zoom that they provided that you adopted?
No, honestly, the training at Zoom was shithouse.
Wow.
Like, it was so bad. Yeah, the Zoom training, like Zoom just was like product market fit, right time, COVID.
Yeah.
And like they were also in video conferencing when tech was coming up. And so the actual training at Zoom was like garbage. Like it was terrible. And so I had to go and self-learn. So I used to listen to podcasts. There's one called 30 Seconds to President's Club. I used to listen to that over and over and over. I tried to like read books, but the way I actually got good at it was when I got my job at Zoom. Before that, I was an accountant. I was earning $44,000 a year. Nothing. And so I was like, I pretty much had a midlife crisis when I left there because I was like, what the fuck am I going to do? I'm 28. Like I make no money. I can't live on the northern beaches. This is crazy. And so when I found out about sales and they were like, yeah, you can just keep working more and earn more money, it was like my brain exploded. And so the first, few months that I worked at Zoom, I just worked 12 hours a day. I was like, wait, so I can just keep working and making more money. And then I made like, $150,000 my first year or whatever. And I just like couldn't even believe it. And I think it was the thing that mattered was just putting in the reps and the period of intensity. Like most small business owners, like they don't understand what is required to generate leads. They will watch Hollywood movies. Someone goes to a dinner, they meet someone and they get a big client or whatever and like everything falls into place. But what lead generation is, if you're a small business owner or a salesperson, you're just getting constant rejection every single day. And most people can't deal with that like at all. And so like it's kind of, most people think, I'm going to send 5 messages a day. It's like, nah, you got to send like 200 every single day. And it's through this like sheer force of volume that you overcome kind of the rejection stuff and you kind of start getting over it. And then you just force yourself to get good. It's like you have to get good, like no matter what. And I think most people just think that the bar of the amount of volume of things that they do is just like way too low. They'll be like, I go to one networking breakfast meeting a month. That's my thing. And it's like, nah, you got to do like, if you don't have business, in my opinion, you should 100% of your time should be dedicated to getting business. Because when you generate, if you think about just demand and supply, when you generate an insane amount of demand, you can then naturally increase your price because you have way more demand for your product or service. And then you don't have to skimp out on like discounting, working with clients you don't want to work with. And then that allows you to then have excess money to improve your service. But like if you don't have that, you're always just going to be scraping by with like the wrong clients. And as a business owner, usually you just take on more work yourself. Yeah. And then you stress yourself the fuck out.
Your story is inspiring, man. Like you were dropped out of school,
Thanks.
20 or so jobs, crazy, you're an accountant, 44 grand, never done sales, went to Zoom, self-learned with sales. And then from my experience, like you fucking crush LinkedIn. Like I'm not, I wouldn't say I've got the best like thermometer of read, but I think for someone on LinkedIn, you are like true expert. I think your content is next level, the value that you put out to the marketplace, and obviously which we'll talk about, how you've built this system. And I think just in that period of time, like since COVID, that you just own your niche now is phenomenal.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's been fun.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. And so I want to break down, I mean, people who are listening to this, right? Yeah. Some of them are on LinkedIn, probably not using it.
Yeah.
Probably thinking that I'm on Insta, that's good enough.
Yeah.
Or they're just not using LinkedIn at all.
Yeah.
I guess, where do you start? Because you've got to build a profile, right?
Yeah. So there's, like, we teach 3 core pillars
with
LinkedIn. So it's the 3 C's. So there's your content, and you want to create client attracting content. So writing things that your ideal clients resonate with, and so they build a little bit of trust with you, and maybe you want to reach out. The second thing is having conversations that turn into calls. And because LinkedIn is just a modern day networking platform, like people still go to in-person events. I'm not saying it's bad, it's great. You build a lot of trust with people, you have conversations. But LinkedIn, you can go to a networking event 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and all your ideal clients live there. And so you can just start chats with everyone, as many as you want pretty much. Like there are caps and limits, but none that one person can really overcome. You can't have like 20 conversations at a time. It's impossible. Can
I ask you a quick, I don't want to interfere with your flow, but my inbox gets blown up all the day. Like how, for someone listening to this, like how do you just send a message to someone and just kind of pad and interrupt and just, I guess, just get them to open it up within all this noise?
Yeah, it's like really easy. Like so that's the easiest one. So I'll give you the last bit, which is the last C is conversion optimization. Your profile needs to be disgustingly clear what you do. The goal isn't to sell people on your profile. It's just to say, like, we've got a client and his profile says, helping US families get life insurance. Perfect. If I'm a US family and I want life insurance and I see Tim's content, it's very clear what he does. And there just needs to be a clear next step, which usually needs to be give away something for free that somebody might want if they were in that situation to buy. And then you collect an email and that's a lead. So the kind of 3 C's. To start a conversation is extremely easy. All you need to do is build lists in LinkedIn Sales Navigator of your current clients, past clients that would champion you, and then other reputable people within your industry who like are a much higher status, who would be considered higher status. And then you build leads lists based off people that are connected to them. So like if I wanted to reach out to buyer's agents, for example, for yourself, I would just pick you, Ben, because like you have a really good reputation in that niche. And then I'd say everyone connected to Ben who's a buyer's agent. And then let's say there's 300 people. Then I'd message someone and be like, hey, Tim, I was actually just chatting to Ben on a podcast today. And I saw you were connected with him. I thought I'd reach out. Like I'm also in Sydney, by the way, as well. It's awesome seeing someone from Sydney here. Usually this feed's full of US people. They're so annoying. Also, if you checked out, then have you checked out Regiment Cafe in the CBD? They make the best chicken roll. Thought I'd connect. But then that one message I can send to 300 people and they all think it's personalized. And because I've gone in through somebody else that is higher status or somebody that they know or they would know of, and I've made it kind of like, I guess, serendipity. It's kind of like, oh, I just did this. It allows you then to scale. So it's like you're not just connecting just absolutely randomly. You're just leveraging your existing network.
Sales Navigator, you mentioned that, like that's obviously a tool that you purchase.
So there's like regular LinkedIn, which you get with the free one. There's the sales version which you purchase like $150 a month.
Got it.
And that allows you to identify prospects. Imagine it's like a CRM of everyone on LinkedIn, and you can be like buyers agents in Sydney, close to my house, who are self-employed. And so I can select that criteria and I can find those exact people. And then I can just say those people who are connected to Ben. Because I'm connected to Ben, so Ben's connections of those people. So you're essentially just, you're just expanding your current network from where it is based off like kind of referrals. So it's like you're not really reaching out cold. It is cold. You've created it, but you've created a situation where the message is highly personalized to them and also highly relevant and unique, and so that they will get back to you. Because if you look at your own LinkedIn inbox, and you click the connections button, 90% of people will send you a connection request that has nothing in it. And then you'll get 10%, which will be someone sending you a really big blocky text thing in mail. You will never get back to that.
Looks like AI.
Yeah, but then once a few times a year, you'll get a message from someone who's connecting saying, I met you at a conference, or what's going on. And you're like, immediately what happens in your head is like, we've got heuristics. So our brain just does automatic foldering of things we see. And so if someone sees something and it looks like a marketing pitch, in their head, their distrust kind of hat goes on and they folder it in their brain. But if you write something that's so the opposite, that it's like more casual, they don't have their guards not up. They just think this is a casual kind of interaction, and you can weave in later on to sell to them. That's like tactics on how to do it. Like we actually wrote a book on it, but it's like there's ways you need to start. It needs to be personalized and relevant, because everyone nowadays just gets so much trash messages, like cold emails that are trash. And what happens over time is people's sensitivity to marketing, like we get better at dissecting between what's crap and what's not.
Yeah.
And as that happens over time, like you need to layer in more personalization and more relevance into the message, so like you can get back to them.
I liked what you said earlier about like the specificity of how you can like target. I think it's can you do that on like any of these other social channels?
Like I've never run ads, like, so you'd be an expert at this, but like I know with like meta ads and stuff, you can target people really well. But it's very difficult with Instagram to be like, go to their Instagram and be like, you know, you can tell someone's kind of income level, because you can be like, okay, they used to work at PwC. They went to University of Sydney. You know, they live in Sydney. They probably make money. I can do an average of like what their income might have been at PwC. They were there for 5 years. They've left and now they've been a consultant for 6 months.
Yeah.
They probably make money.
Yeah.
And so I can make educated guesses based off this. But not only that, with LinkedIn is you can use, there's tools, there's one called Humantic AI, where it actually pulls all their LinkedIn information and all their comments and posts and stuff, and it tells you their disc profile, so their personality profile.
Insane.
So like you can pretty much know their income and their situation that they're at and what they're doing, but you also know how to sell to them based on their personality profile. So like the data that you can pull compared to Instagram, when you DM someone, you don't know if they have heaps of money or no money, or if they're your ideal client, or they're just making it all up. You don't even know. But with LinkedIn, it's like very hard to lie on your LinkedIn CV.
Yeah.
Like, it's very difficult.
And you mentioned like paid media on Facebook. That's paid, but like organically through LinkedIn, through this specificity, it's unmatched, right?
Yeah, it's like so like recruiters drive like billions of dollars to their businesses through LinkedIn, because they just use LinkedIn Recruiter. And salespeople have been using LinkedIn. I used to use it all the time because it's got the best targeting. But like, and so you can specifically put together like a leads list of people.
Yeah.
And when you're reaching out to people, you don't need a leads list of like 10,000. You just need like 100 people that you have like a lot of data points in common to like manufacture a personalized and relevant message, so that they will receive the message and think, oh, Matt just scrolled on my profile just now and he just saw this. Oh, that's a really nice message. I'm going to get back to him. But they don't know that like I just sent 400 of them to the same people. But it gives them a feeling of like feeling special.
Yeah.
And the goal of like your DM that you send, your initial one, is to get a response, but to send a DM that makes them feel special, so they go home and they tell their partner. They're like, oh, I got this message from Matt today. Really funny. He mentioned this like chicken roll at this place. And like, I've actually been there. I had their chicken roll. It was pretty good. And then we had a good chat. But then like, I didn't try to sell to them in that interaction. We just had a chat.
Yeah.
Like that person's level of trust in me has increased, you know, massively, because we've had like connection through familiarity.
Yeah. You're not trying to sell to them off the first message, which a lot of people do.
Yeah. Like I don't even believe in like selling through the messages. I believe in inviting. So like the way I'll sell to someone is I'll ask them questions around their problem.
Yep.
And then after they've I can go into tactics about that. But then right at the end of it, I'll just say to them, hey, look, just letting you know, next month I'm going to be working with a small group of Aussie business owners, like just help them generate more leads on LinkedIn. I've worked with these couple of people that you know. I'm just checking, would you like to join us? So there's no pitch. It's just inviting. And for them, if they don't want to do it, you just say, hey, all good. That's sweet. And you don't break the trust with them. But if I pitch to them, then the trust gets broken. And so I can't re-pitch for a long period of time, or they may never think of me not as a salesperson ever again.
It's smart. You're just building high trust questions. So for people listening to this, right, thinking, getting excited now, thinking, okay, I can make a lot of money on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
What's the do's and don'ts? Like, is this B2B? Like, if they're B2C, is LinkedIn good? Because I also want to touch on this. Like, it seems like you crush LinkedIn only at the moment, right? As a sole channel. Like also to add to that question, is it like a B2B, B2C? But can you be on like a few channels crushing it, or do you focus your time on, let's say, one channel?
Yeah. So for people starting out, like it's disgustingly hard to get good at one channel. So you should just focus on one. It's just so hard. Unless you're a business owner, you've made a lot of money, like this is one of your other ventures, you can hire people and bring them in and stuff like that. But if you're like, you want to get good at one channel, just do one. Because it's just so hard to like, writing and creating compelling content. I'm a big advocate for DMing and messaging people. Your content is going to take way longer to catch up than DMing and messaging, just because it's very hard to write good content. Like you have to understand like hundreds of micro skills on how to do it.
You write your own content.
Yeah, I write my own content. I use AI kind of assisted to help me kind of like talk through ideas and stuff, but you've kind of got to make it a passion when you're writing your content.
Yep.
But like I tried doing Instagram and stuff like that, but just even the thought of managing multiple inboxes is difficult. Because like to set up LinkedIn correctly, so we do now about $3.5 million a year. But with the amount of leads we get, we should be doing 10 million a year. So like I got to like hire and bring on more people. Like, but this is through one profile organically. Like that's it. And so I just think going on multiple platforms too early, it's like you should just try and master one. And whether it be LinkedIn or YouTube or like whatever it is, because there's so many nuances around each platform that make it so difficult. And like you can get on there and maybe, like I remember I went on Instagram earlier, I made this mistake. And I had one video that got like, 2,500 likes or whatever, but it like didn't bring any leads in or anything like that. And I was like, I don't understand how this works. And so there's like this massive ignorance gap that you have when you think you've got it, but you're just so far away.
So why should then someone make a decision as to like, I should narrow in on LinkedIn? Like, is it better for B2B, better B2C? Like, how do you kind of then ascertain like LinkedIn's going to work for me?
Yeah, gotcha. It depends on like your business and your business owner. And it also depends on your experience and like what you like doing. Like, if you've been building on Instagram and like you've really committed a lot of time to it, I'd probably just stay there.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't move because like, you've invested so much into that. But LinkedIn, I really like. It works for B2B and B2C. B2B, you just want to make sure that the thing that you sell is like a decent price.
Yeah.
Because like you can't really sell e-commerce products on LinkedIn unless your goal of posting about your e-commerce stuff or your software is to get connected to partners and all that kind of stuff. So it's like quite difficult unless you get a software that's got a lot higher lifetime value as well. I like LinkedIn because it's probably the smallest lift of any platform in regards to learning. So you can buy sales nav, you can watch a tutorial online, and you can work out, how do I build a list? You can then reach out to 200 people every week to connect with them, either automatically or manually. You can learn this in a couple of hours. And then you can optimize your profile. You can either pay a designer to do it or like get someone to optimize the profile very fast to make it really clear what you do, a couple of hours. And then writing the content takes time to get good. But the nice thing about LinkedIn is it's full of writers. And so you don't actually need to create videos or any of that stuff. It's got like you can just write. And writing, I think, has the least barrier to entry to start. Like you can just pull out your phone and write and start putting stuff out there as well. And it just works so well because every single person from a professional capacity, whether you own a business or if you've been in their business for 20 years.
Yeah.
Like there was a lady who I used to go to a networking event called Holly, and she came at the front one time and she was like, guys, I just want to let you know I closed an $80,000 deal off LinkedIn. And I was like, whoa, I got to check this out. And her profile wasn't clear. Like, the content wasn't really that good at all, in my opinion. But she posted it, and all the people she's connected with were past clients and stuff, and a past client came back. And so you've already got all your professional network there who know you, trust you, would refer you, from a business sense. And so then when you do, it's a small lift, and you can start, and you can usually get leads really fast, just because 1% of people post. It's so small compared to Twitter, where 32% of people post. And then Instagram just has a very high barrier to entry because you need an editor, you need filming. Like there's really good content on Instagram you're like competing against. And so I would way rather be a big fish in a little pond than, a big fish in a massive pond.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
I get what you're saying. Like I've never thought about that. Like the go-to-market and like the costing around production is very low on LinkedIn. You're just writing.
It's literally nothing. Like yeah, like I've got clients that just write content and they post some photos and stuff. They optimize their profile a little bit and they connect with 200 people a week and they drive like, boatloads of money to their business. Because I just think about anywhere that has, like when I used to own a cafe, right? Cafe is the shittest business to get into ever. No one should ever do it because it's got really low barrier to entry and like you can't differentiate on price and product. And there's like a bazillion of them, like everywhere. And so like when you go into that type of business and the margins are shit, there's a lot going on. So it's like there's a lot of people in the cafe, you've got to hire, a lot of costs.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like when you invest in something big, like let's say Instagram as an example. Like the barrier, like there's a lot of people who want to do it. It's really cool and sexy. A lot of people want to retire from their job and open a cafe. They think it's really good. It's a terrible idea. You get no selling from it. It's really bad. But you go to LinkedIn, it's just like that shitty. It's kind of like there's the lollipop people on the road. It's kind of like not the best job, but like they get paid shitloads of money. And it's like, it's kind of like LinkedIn's not sexy and attractive, but like you make the most money there, the best return on investment as well.
Okay. So we went through profile, you set up your profile. Yeah. People know exactly what you do. I mean, I know you mentioned you write your own copy. I mean, you're very good at writing copy, but let's just say you're not so good. But how do you go about thinking what to post, frequency of posting, like to start actually getting attention?
Yeah. So there's so many different methods of posting and things that you can do. People do videos and all this kind of stuff. It's like any skill. Like I believe that copywriting, so writing good social media content or LinkedIn content requires the skill of copywriting.
Yep.
And that's writing content or, advertising copy that persuades people to think or do something.
Yep.
And there's a lot of things like elements in copywriting where it needs to have a hook to bring people into it, to want them to read it. You want to write in like a fifth grader reading level to make it very easy to consume and elegantly get across your point. You need to use copywriting frameworks like PAS, which is problem, agitate, solution. There's a lot that happens in it, but the only way that you get good at it is you just start doing it, literally. But the things you want to talk about when you first start, especially if you're a small business owner that has experience in an industry, you just look back in the past to just things that you've learned and just things that, may have happened in the past week or when you've worked with clients and just talk about that stuff. Just like literally things that have happened. So if you're a consultant and you used to work at a couple of Fortune 500s or whatever. Now you've left and you're doing your own thing. It's like if you write, when I used to work at Procter & Gamble, like these were the 5 biggest, these were the 5 principles for advertising that I think small businesses could implement in their business. So I'm using like Procter & Gamble, which is a big company. These are 5 things. So it's a list. Here's what I think, benefit of the person I'm going to work with. And then I just write a list. So I'm just reflecting back on things I've learned and lessons especially if I had a lot of experience, because with LinkedIn, you want to become Daniel Priestley, really famous UK entrepreneur. He wrote Key Person of Influence in 2008, 2009. And he says the way to win now is you want to become the only option in a specific sub niche. So you only need like 5 to 50,000 followers in a certain sub niche. And so you just want to focus, like everything you write about is solving these problems for these people, but dipping in and also talking about yourself personally.
Yep.
Like you need to talk about lessons you've learned. I'm into CrossFit, right? Or I'm competing for High Rocks now. And like there needs to be like familiarity through connection, but you also want to give value. So it's like insights to people at the same time. Because if you just talk about business only, you'll become like one of those faceless YouTube accounts.
Yes.
That, there's no connection there. It gets a lot of views, but like no one will really buy from it. So you've got to kind of talk about things personally, your lessons of what you've learned in your journey, because people don't buy your product, they just buy you.
Yeah.
And so you're really just positioning yourself as the expert and like, being vulnerable, talking about different things. But, one of the easiest posts to do is on LinkedIn is a reintroduction post. You just say, hey, my name's Matt. I've been floating around on LinkedIn for 12 years, but I've never posted. So I thought I'd reintroduce myself. Then you just put a list of what you were doing, few funny points about your life, and then you just say at the end, also I work with small business owners helping them generate leads on LinkedIn. So if you need some help, shoot me a DM, and then you just end it with, what's like one weird thing about you or something like that.
At what point did you start like putting a call to action at the end of your post where you were asking people to put their hand up or kind of respond to a call to action?
I think there should always, no matter what, be some type of a call to action.
Okay.
Always. And the call to action could be just to comment.
Yep.
So it's like LinkedIn wants you on their platform. And so they like engagement.
Yep.
So, by you commenting on other people, like one of the easiest ways to start writing content is don't write content yourself first. Just comment on other people's content with insightful stuff. You just get used to the act of writing, and because it's very intimidating and scary just putting yourself out there on a platform, like really weird, especially if you've never done it. So there's a lot of people have a block there, but just comment on other people's stuff. But with like a call to action, your first call to action, it can literally be you write about something and you say, like, if I could talk about, the problem that most small business owners have is that they simply don't market enough. It's because they avoid it. They think it's really cringy and a bit gross, and they think it's beneath them, and they feel shame reaching out to people. Like,
Yep.
And I say, would you agree? That's my call to action.
Yeah.
Agree, ? And so that's a very light call to action. And then through the content, then over time, you can have other calls to action.
Yep.
So you can have, hey, I wrote about this, in my newsletter here, click the link to get access to it. Or it can be like, I'm going to be working with these people. Let me know if you're interested. You always want something that gets people to do something. Like,
Got it.
Yeah, Dan Kennedy, one of the best marketers of all time. He just talks about in his 10 commandments of copywriting is like, in direct response copywriting, you always need a call to action of some sort for someone to do something. But if you don't want to come across salesy, just ask people to like engage, or what are their thoughts about it? Because the more people that comment on your stuff, the more visibility you get and the more views you get. And then hopefully more of your ideal clients or referral partners will see your stuff.
Yeah.
And it seems more credible because like if you have someone who someone's let's say you used to work for someone and they're the CEO and they commented on this person's post, you're like, oh, they must be like, so it just, people tee things up in their mind that kind of like social rank you through all this stuff.
Few questions. So one is frequency. Like, are you posting 7 days a week, and then what's the frequency you recommend other people to post?
So everything that I say that I do, don't do it. Don't. Because people just like I've been training for High Rocks. Like I want to compete in it this year. So I looked at what all the pros did, and I last week I just trained 16 hours or something like that, and I fucked myself. I slept 8 hours a night for 4 nights, and I was like, okay, can't do what they do. I got to turn it back. So what I do is not what you should do because it's scary. You build up to it. But I post 14 times a week, 7 days a week. So currently my cadence is, twice on Monday. On Tuesday, I post a lead magnet, which is a giveaway, which usually gets more reach. So I don't want to have another post that kind of intercepts with it.
Yep.
Then Wednesday, I do 2 posts. Thursday, another lead magnet. Then, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 2 posts. And usually on the weekend, I try to post stuff that's a bit more personal and less salesy because people are not in work mode on the weekend. And so I'm looking at more brand building content on the weekend where I'll just talk about, mindset or something like that, different things that still align with what I do, but they're just slightly different.
Yep. Got it. So,
but for regular people, just start with commenting, just comment and then literally do 1 post a week and then maybe 2, then maybe 3. The only time though that you can become consistent with content and drive leads is if you fall in love with the writing process. I've never seen someone be successful on LinkedIn if they didn't enjoy actually writing content. Impossible.
Interesting.
And it's usually because they're writing this really crappy corporate crap. I say crap multiple times, but they're writing this really terrible content they don't even believe in. When you're writing content that's good and it's quite authentic or whatever, the writing process I have is I enjoy it because I'm putting down my thoughts, I'm distilling them, it helps me teach more things, helps me learn and reflect. So I enjoy it when I'm doing it. And it also gives me this sense of accountability when I post it. So I always want to kind of one up myself each time and make it a bit better. But unless you actually like doing it, I wouldn't even try to do it. And you might not like it at the start. It's weird and scary, but there always comes a tipping point where, you start getting a few leads. Some people start reaching out to you. You get a referral. And then you're like, man, I really like this.
Yeah.
And then that's when you want to kind of really dive into it as well. But if you don't like it, you won't do it.
Yeah. But I guess also you could outsource the writing, right? To a good copywriter?
You can. It's just very, very expensive. And to find a good copywriter is hard. It's very difficult for LinkedIn. And to find a good copywriter who can write in your tone of voice and your style is hard. And so for the average small business owner, like I think they should kind of, at least their thoughts need to be put into the writing as well, at least. But for most people, it's like you just want to kind of dabble in it to start as well.
So for someone, again, looking to like maybe get started or kind of amp up what they're doing already, like how many hours a day? Like I know it's general, but like
I've got a very strong opinion here. So if you're a small business owner and you're relying on referrals only and you've been struggling with your business for 5 years, right? And you're always waiting for the next things to come in, you're counting the money, you need to spend 40 hours a week marketing. Like literally. Like I'm just so, like the reason your business is not growing, nothing to do with how good your systems are. No one fucking cares about that. The people that win are the ones that just have shitloads of demand. Like they take, like our brains can only intake like a certain amount of knowledge, or we can only know a certain number of people. Like in general. So I think it's called Dunbar's numbers. We can only know 150 people like that can be kind of close to us, and we can only actually even fathom 1,500. And whatever the science is, it just shows you've only got a certain brain space for people. And like what small business owners do is like they just don't market enough, so they're just not in enough people's heads. And whether they market through putting content out, going to networking events, like, you know, reaching out to people and having a discussion with them, they just don't market enough.
Yeah.
Like, and there's like, that's the only thing. And, you know, the easiest way usually to just build your business back up is just look back in the past 5 years and be like, okay, what activity that I did generated the most amount of money? And so, you know, my old boss, Nick, who ran our accounting firm, every time he was low, he used to go on networking lunches. But like, in my opinion, like if I went back to him now, I'd be like, you should go on like 2 a day, like every day. Because like everyone thinks they're going to need to build their systems. But like when you build a boatload of leads, you get so many more new, better clients that all those systems become null and void.
Yeah.
It just doesn't matter anymore because you've got better clients who want better things and you got more demand. And so like they just need to market like 40 hours a week. Like literally, if you go to networking events, go to 2 a day, 3 a day. But don't like, problem is there's doing more, but what people do is they just do lazy more.
Yeah.
So they go to 3 networking events a day, but they don't invest time into getting better at networking. So they'll just rock up and they'll be passive. But with networking, there's like a lot of strategies to it. So if I was going to do it now, small breakdown, right? If I'm going to go to a networking event, in-person event called BNI, I'm going to suss out every single person beforehand. I'm going to send them all an individual email saying, I'm looking forward to meeting with you. I'd walk up to everyone. I'd remember their names. I'd shake their hands. I'd say something about me and I'd be really interested in them and not myself. And then I'd set up as many coffee conversations afterwards as I possibly could. And then I'd somehow put them all into an email list where I'd consistently contact and reach out to these people all the time. And at every single coffee conversation, I would make sure I do them at least 1 or 2 favors and introduce someone to help them. Like, and most people don't even think about that. They just think, I'm just going to go to this networking event and just sit there and fucking shit's going to happen. It's like, no, it's like, you've got to do the volume, but think about it and then assess it and then get better. And then when you do that, like, you know, I interviewed a client last night. He grew his business. He had 3 rounds of layoffs during COVID. He owns an agency and he had no idea what he was doing. He did Facebook ads. He did like webinars, cold email. Nothing ever worked for him. He started working with him, I think it was like 10 months ago. He went all in on LinkedIn. He grew his agency back from 1.8 million to $4.2 million a year just through his LinkedIn profile.
Organic,
100% organic. And like, he's a great writer. His name's Josh Lohman. If you look him up on Instagram, LinkedIn, his writing is amazing, 100% organic. And he didn't even put in all our strategies. He just wrote amazing content, built stuff out. It's easy to understand what he does. And he just created a massive oversupply of demand in his business that now he just has a wait list. And so he was just sick of it. And he's like, fuck it, I'm going to go all in. And he just did it. And now he's like, I literally never worry about business, like ever. And like there was one point during that time there which he stopped putting out LinkedIn content because he had so much business. And we reflected on that call. He's like, it was a mistake. Yeah, I should have never stopped. It's like the one non-negotiable that I have is marketing. Like, because people think that like, oh, marketing's scammy, it's weird. If you don't market and you get in a period of desperation, you don't have the resources to make your client experience better.
Yeah.
So you're grasping at straws, you're looking at margins, their experience is shit. But when you make so much money and you bring so many leads in, you pick to only work with the best clients and you get them the best results at whatever they do, like literally. And so it's like I see marketing as an ethical thing. If you don't do it, it's not ethical, but most people don't do it because like one, they think it's beneath them. They think reaching out to people is like, I don't want to do that. They've got like a lot of pride. A lot of corporate people have this. Like there's this instinct where it's like, I've worked with these big $20 million deals. I don't want to reach out to someone that's beneath me. But then once they remove the beneath them, they only have to do two things. They just have to do it heaps and just get better at it. And like, that's it. And then the people that just market for like heaps, they just build up so much and they get so good at it. Then eventually they only need to do a third of what they did before. But because they're so good and they went through that period of intense learning, it gets better. So yeah, that's my, if you're rating on that, it's like you should just be, your 100% job should just be to become a beast marketer. Like that's it.
I mean, if I look at LinkedIn, again, I don't spend that much time on there, but if I look at the platform as a whole, like I would say like there's a very high percentage which just do not use it properly. Like obviously you run your business completely through LinkedIn. It's all organic.
Yeah.
You've really worked out the system. But I'd say most people are on there just doing stupid shit.
Or just like mostly wasting time.
Yeah, wasting time.
Yeah, it's like there's levels of LinkedIn knowledge and what you can do. So we're the hyper extreme, right? We book 2,300 meetings in a year through LinkedIn. So that's like the extreme. So I push the envelope. But most people, if they can get a few meetings a week, it's amazing. Right? So they don't need to do all that kind of stuff. But honestly, the first level is like recognizing that I can generate leads from LinkedIn.
Yeah.
That's like level one. So most people like, it's just an employee recruiter platform. So, and then past that point, people usually get into, okay, I'll write a little bit of content here and there. They follow some LinkedIn creators who talk about writing. They might buy LinkedIn Sales Navigator and kind of have a dabble at reaching out to people. They might set up an automation system and they kind of like do it for 3 to 6 months kind of themselves, watch some videos, and they might get a few leads and close a few deals.
Yeah.
Always happens. They're our best person I want to sell to because they are bought into the fact that LinkedIn works. They just need a proper system as well. But like those people who actively do that are like barely anyone.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Like it's literally like no one.
Yeah.
And so like, you know, we're on the outer extremes, but like I see so many, like one of the biggest mistakes ever is like someone engages a marketing company to get them to do their LinkedIn. And like one of my most hated things ever is a marketing company that says they're a full service marketing company.
I had this discussion this morning.
Fuck off. You can't do all these things well. You just do them half-assed. The reason why these businesses work is because businesses don't do any marketing at all. So even when they do shit marketing that fucks up their brand, sorry for swearing, it still works, but they mess their brand. And it's like, so there's so many of these people. And the funny thing is the marketing company doesn't even do good marketing.
That's it.
So it's like, it's so fucking crazy. But like they'll engage a marketing company to do LinkedIn for them and they'll set up LinkedIn Sales Navigator, right? And they'll set up an automation system. And I had a lady I was chatting to in the DMs about this. Over 6 months, she worked with the company. She paid them like 20, 30 grand. They DM'd all her ideal clients. She didn't understand the tech. She didn't understand what was going on.
Yeah.
Destroyed her reputation. She messaged me back. She's like, I can't do any other program because my whole reputation is destroyed. They reached out to everyone in my target market. They tried to market to them way too hard and they just like messed it up.
Yeah.
And it's just like, that's why I'm very passionate about small business owners upskilling themselves into getting better. But like, you know, they'll engage, or maybe the marketing company will like record some videos and then they'll post some stuff and they'll put loads of hashtags on it. But like, all you got to do is just look at the person or the company that you're going to and be like, is their marketing good? Does their marketing convince me? Like, are they on LinkedIn? Like, I remember there was a guy I lost a deal to because he went with someone else because the person said, I help recruiters build personal brands. But the guy who builds recruiters' personal brands didn't even have a personal brand. He didn't even post anything. Like, I don't even know if his profile was like even look good. So
yeah,
just as a small business owner, like just be very aware that like, I remember my old boss taught me this. He said, if someone knows a little bit more than you, you don't know if they know a tiny bit more or like infinitely more.
Yeah.
And so a lot of marketing agencies and companies are actually only like 3 steps ahead of you.
Yeah.
And it requires you 1 weekend of YouTubing to catch up to them, literally, because a lot of these marketing agencies don't know how to market. So they flog themselves and they rip people off and it just keeps coming back. So just like be very, very aware and like look at, because people can fake case studies and stuff like that. I only realized people started doing that like a year ago. I didn't even thought about that was a thing. But people fake case studies and stuff. But look at what they actually do as a business and like, is it good? Like, can they replicate what I want? and in their thing. And if you don't like what they do, I would run the other way.
I was laughing. I got a message this morning, literally like 6:30 from someone who said, Ben, need an agency. I need to do Google PPC, Google SEO, Facebook, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, dude, you can't get an agency to do all of this. You need media buyers. Like I've got my own SEO person. I've got my own Google PPC person. Like you want specialists who like are complete experts in every area.
Yeah, it's like even like myself an example. I'm probably an expert on LinkedIn. I still think I suck. Yeah. Like literally, like deep down, if anyone is kind of at that level of expert where they can kind of fluently talk about things, they actually think that they suck.
Yeah.
But like everyone runs into, I can't remember what the name of it's called. It'll come back to me. But like there's this kind of like when people start learning something, they think that they know a lot about the thing, and they kind of get to this level, but they don't fall off the cliff realizing that they actually know nothing. And then they realize they know nothing, and then they start climbing, and it's like this like slow climb up, and they have this like reflection. I can't remember what the name
is.
Is
it the hedonic adaptation?
No. I'll remember what it is. But like most are just there. They think they know all this stuff, but they don't actually know it. It's like when you go to a family dinner, and then one of your relatives has been all of a sudden watching Fox News, or like they've been watching some political thing, and they're like kind of into it, and they're like, then they start arguing these points, and you're like, come on. And they're like, yeah, I researched it.
Yeah.
I researched it. It's like most are like at that level. But then when you do get to true, like you run a lot of Facebook ads, like you're probably pretty good at it, but you probably also realize that like there's so much more I can learn.
Yeah.
Like, literally. And you just getting to that kind of like point of realization that like is really dangerous.
I want to understand this. So there's probably a lot of people who just don't really understand you can make shitloads of money on LinkedIn. Don't know how to like where to start. But what was different about you when you got onto the platform, and you obviously you saw something different?
Yeah.
You downloaded a playbook. You had a mentor in your ear.
Yeah.
Like why were you able to get started?
There was a few things that happened, but like so there's the first level which doesn't even know that LinkedIn's a thing. Then there's the second level, which is like they're investing time and then trying to do things and kind of getting okay results. I was there. That was me for 8 months. And so what LinkedIn used to be, and this is kind of the 3 C's solving that we do, is there's marketers on LinkedIn that are very good at marketing and building their personal brand, but they market so hard because they suck at sales. And so they actually never DM people. They never talk to anyone. They're woeful.
And they're basically broke.
Well, some of them make money, but like the top 0.01% make money because they kind of turn into a commodity. It's like Amazon, right? Only the people who come to the top win. And so everyone follows these people, and it's just like a straight pyramid scheme, like literally. And so they're just like, they like engage on my content and they talk about how to grow on LinkedIn, and it's just like they're growing nothingness. It's literally just air. The second type of people are salespeople who just never post content, but they're really good at DMing and talking to people. Like recruiters are pretty good at that.
Yeah.
Like then the third other layer is like the funnels people. So the people that would run an ad on Facebook into a funnel, like a ClickFunnels person, and then, they would, capture the lead, convince them through VSLs and all that shit, right? Doesn't exist on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And so like I kind of like went through an 8-month period where I like lost 180 grand in the first 8 months of my business. Like I sold some people, but I just couldn't get the offer. I did everything wrong. I bought HubSpot Enterprise, waste of money, like all the wrong stuff. And the whole time I was using LinkedIn, I was doing what the marketers and stuff said to do. And it took me like 8 months to realize, I was like, no one knows what they're doing. Like literally. Like I've been studying these like marketers and copywriters, but like I message them and they barely make any money, even though they look like they're making heaps of money.
Sorry, no one knows what they're doing on LinkedIn?
No one.
On LinkedIn.
Like everyone was doing it wrong.
Got it.
Everyone. Like I just couldn't believe that everyone was doing it wrong because no one had the copywriting side where you write content to attract people, the DMs and sales side, and the funnels of capturing leads side. No one was doing it. And so there was all these different things. And over time, I started putting it together in my head because I had sales experience, and then I was like really getting into writing, and then I was starting to understand funnels and positioning and stuff like that. And so I started understanding all these core areas, and I was like, oh my God, literally no one's doing it right. Like there's no program that shows small business owners how to generate leads because, there'd be a writer, there'd be like, there's companies which charge you $1,500 a month, and all they do is they buy your LinkedIn Sales Navigator account. They find leads, they plug it into their automation system, and it just automated reach outs. And then you get replies, and they're like, Ben, you've got 3 replies with your leads today. You got to talk to them. And they charge $1,500 a month.
Stitcher.
Straight raw. It's like they just try to get people into 12-month contracts and raw them. But like there was all these elements and I was like, I think I can solve this and make it better. And so like that's our main pursuit. So it's like, how do we help a small business owner implement these systems into their business and learn it themselves? And they also learn the fundamentals of sales and marketing and positioning at the same time so that, you know, in 3, 6, 9 months, whatever, they're like, generate leads myself.
Those 3 like ingredients are a powerful cocktail.
Yeah.
It seems like, because if you're missing, like if you suck at DMs as an example, which is direct messages for people, if you suck at that, then like you're kind of fucked.
Yeah, like
it's not going to work. The engine's not going to work.
I had a client so he had, last year when I started working with him, about 40,000 followers on LinkedIn. So like really good. He was very established in this niche. He was only making like $12,000 a month, but he was like really good. He's a really smart dude. And then he's a marketer. He'd never done selling. And like the first call I had with him, like we just started chatting and it wasn't even to buy anything. He just wanted me to jump on a webinar with him. And then I ended up selling our program to him. And then I just said, look, I think he's going to be a case study. So I was like, okay, let's have a 1-to-1 call next week because I think I can blow him up. And like between the first week and the second week, he messaged me. He's like, dude, I started DMing and I already made $3,000. He's like, what happened? And then I met up with him in the next 1-to-1 and he's like, oh, got it. And he barely did any of our program. I barely talked to him. I just told him to start DMing because he already had a lot of content. His business went from like 13 grand a month to nearly $100,000 a month in like 5 months.
You picked it.
Yeah. And just because he was very, very good at content. So he's like a 9 out of 10. So he had a lot of trust built up. A lot of people liked him, but he just wasn't talking to people. And like people need a conversation with another human being if you sell them something expensive. Usually there's like the 1% which can do it the other way. But then the other element is a lot of people, their profile isn't disgustingly clear what they do.
Yeah.
And so even if you produce all this content and you get all these eyeballs, a lot of people, what they do is they see your content, they click on your profile because they're interested.
Yeah.
And if you help, like let's say you're a financial advisor and you help Sydney families build a 7-figure nest egg.
Yeah.
Like if it doesn't say I help Sydney families build a 7-figure nest egg, it should say that. If it says like wealth creator, fucking all this bullshit, right? Like no one's going to understand. And so your content goes to waste. So you get traffic. It's like paying money and getting traffic to an ad, but your ad's very ambiguous and no one knows what it means. And so it needs to be very clear. And then it needs to have a next step. So it's like, let's say you're a financial advisor working with Sydney families, and then you're like, here's the checklist. Download this checklist to show you how to build a 7-figure nest egg. If you're earning $200,000 a year in 10 years or something like that, right? And so they go see your content, they go to your profile, they like click on the thing and they download, and you capture a lead. And so then that way you know that, okay, when I write my content, I'm getting leads.
Yes.
Like I'm actually getting leads. And so that you need these 3 elements in place. It can work without them all together. And I've seen it work without them all together. But the thing is, you don't need to be the best salesperson or the best copywriter in the world.
Yeah.
You just need to be a 7 out of 10. Like you just need to be like amateur. I've hacked at this over a couple of weekends. It's like when you deep dive on a topic, on YouTube and you watch like 2 weeks worth and you're like, I know a lot of stuff now. You kind of only really need to be that level with those things for it to like accelerate your leads.
Looking at like all your customers, I think you said you got 600 and something.
I think there's about 635 this morning.
Okay, so 635. If you were to pick one thing where you think they're all deficient at, like is it sales? Is it marketing? Like what would you say is the one thing?
Mindset.
100%
is mindset. So I think small business, like especially people that come out of corporate, like I had a conversation today in like our community feed today. It's like they just overthink everything.
Yeah.
Like because you come out of like corporate or academia and stuff like that. Like the reason why like you see so many of these like young kids who are just like making $1 million a month is because they just don't think and they do. They just like, well, Alex Hormozy told me I got to do this, so I'm just going to do it. And they just have no bias and they just do it and they just move so fast. So the biggest problem is mindset, and it's just associated with shame of putting yourself out there.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing to overcome. It's like when you have to lose all shame in marketing, you have to be like, you have to make the decision of like, people are going to think I look like an idiot. some people are, because when you put out content, people judge you.
Yeah.
And when you sit in people's brains, 100% they judge you. Like, but I'm going to trade that for a better life for my family. And so it's just the mindset around like losing the ego and being like, I don't care if I look like a dipshit, because I would rather, live a sick life and take my kids to that trip to Disneyland they've wanted, instead of just me sitting in this puddle of fear of just like, not reaching out to anyone. And I know this because like this was me. Like I grew up like I used to go to family events and I'd be terrified to talk to people. Like I would present on stage and I just wouldn't do it. Like for a school presentation, I just would not go in. I'd so terrified. And that was one of the things for me that helped me overcome, where it's like, it's kind of like, how if you get the bus or train nowadays, no one talks to each other, like at all.
Yeah, it's weird.
And if you said to someone like, go talk to someone, they'd be like petrified. It's that. That is the thing that most small business owners need to move past, because once they lose all shame and then they just realize, I've had my business for 10 years, but it's not growing, it's me. It's literally my fault. It's like no one else's fault. I haven't invested in marketing, and usually they just haven't even known. Like it wasn't even a thing to begin with. They think they're doing the right things. They got to realize that and then be like, all right, I'm fucking throwing shame out the window.
Yeah.
I don't care. And I'm just going to be shameless. I'm just going to reach out to all these people and I'm going to look like a dipshit, and people are going to tell me to go away. Like I had people to say, fuck off, when I reach out to them. But they're the easiest ones because you laugh at it. The worst ones, the rejection that you get, is when you reach out to someone and they're like, yeah, it seems really good. And you meet with them and then they're like, yeah, let's meet next week again. And then they just don't get back to you. And then they're like, oh, let's do it in 3 weeks. And they're actually they're not interested. But they just keep kicking you down the road because they don't want to reject you. It's dozens of those that get to you. But the only way to overcome all of this rejection shit is to have so many leads you don't care. You just have so many people that want to work with you that if you miss a message, who cares? Because then when you have so many leads that come to you, like what you do naturally, when you're a busy person, you just make shit happen. Like no matter what. But when you have so many leads coming in, and if someone says to you, hey, I want to work with you, and you miss it, that actually makes you look good.
Yeah.
That actually makes, and then when you get back to them, you're like, so sorry, Ben. Like, oh, man, I was just like working with these 3 new clients. We've actually got a wait list till next month. I'd love to chat with you. Like, you got 10 minutes now really quick to just check if it might be a good fit. Like, I'm using a lot of sales psychology there in that. But if you're in that position, you wouldn't actively think about it. You would just do it. So, like, you want to make yourself with abundance of leads, because then your sales problem will go away. You won't need to learn how to sell. You'll just do the right things because you have actual scarcity and urgency in what you're doing.
Yes.
And then after that, then when you have so many sales come in, you're like, oh, fuck, I got to build some systems. But it's okay, I got money to hire someone. And then you'll work out the systems thing, and like then you'll just keep doing that. But most people just don't have enough attention and leads because they haven't fixed that problem.
Yeah. I can relate to the mindset being a blocker. I didn't think of that when I asked you that question. So that makes a lot of sense, because I've been in those shoes. I remember when I had to get into content last year, and I never used to be on social.
Yeah.
And that was blocked. The reason I hadn't started 3-4 years ago was mindset.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, what are people going to think of me?
100%.
Am I going to say stupid shit?
Yeah.
Are people going to want to hear me? How am I going to look? And I realized that was the block for many years why I never went live.
Yeah. It's really hard as well, because there's the reason why young people can beat old people is, especially in this social media game, is because there's no opportunity cost associated with it. So people who are older, who are like 45, like they have a lot to lose. When 22-year-old has nothing to lose.
Yeah.
They can look like a dipshit because they're people that don't even know them. So especially when someone's like, this is not advice. So I don't work with like corporate executives and stuff like that in current roles, because, if a CEO posts and does something, that affects the whole company.
Yes.
So I don't work with those types of people based off that. But even if you're a small business owner, when you have a certain level of clout in your industry, like they do want to be more protective of that because they built a reputation and a rapport over 20 years' time. So I totally get where they're coming from. And so you just want to make sure that when you put content out there, don't just be like, I'm going to go with the content agency and just they're going to do whatever. Only put stuff out there that you like, that you would be like. I like to look at it like this. Would I be happy saying this at a table of 12 people? Would I be happy to open up and tell a table of 12 people to this? If not, I'm not going to say it.
Yeah.
Like, and so just keep like, you would just want to be careful. Like, you don't want to be like, talk about your breakdown and your depression and your fucking divorce or whatever when you just never done that. Be like, the social media thing said to be vulnerable, so I did it. It's like, no. Like, because like people look at you and be like, wow, that's really weird. You want to have like that level of like, okay, would I put this out there? Like, would I tell other people this?
Yeah.
And don't just because you're behind a computer and no one's there, be like, all right, I'm just going to write this, right? Like people do that in Reddit and, you know, if you go into Reddit threads, people just roast other people like so hard. It's disgusting, but like, because they can't be seen. But like your face is going to be on it. So you just want to be like the lady who I mentioned, her reputation got banned. Like you don't want to set up like automations unless you understand like how, you know, what the messaging is, how it's going to resonate with people. Because like that can be dangerous at the same time. But like, yeah, what do you feel when you put something out there? Like, am I happy with this?
Yeah.
Would I be okay with it?
When you think about like the future of LinkedIn, I know you mentioned video earlier. Like I thought it was going more video focused, but I guess when you think about the future of LinkedIn, like, are you optimistic? Are you seeing anything that you think is going to be done differently, or like what comes to mind?
It's really hard because like LinkedIn's owned by Microsoft and like it's probably a tiny percentage of their revenue, so they just don't care about it, like really. And so I just like it now because it's got LinkedIn now has a video feed, but like LinkedIn has always been a text feed and like always will be a text feed that has video inside it. And you just need to think about user behavior. So on the weekend, when I'm sitting on the couch with my partner, I scroll through Instagram threads because my Instagram threads, I see funny stuff.
Yeah.
I like it. It's cool. And like, I don't even think about it. But when I'm in like a more businessy mode, I look at the YouTube shorts. And so it's got all my businessy stuff. That's what I think about, like, you know. But when I want to like read and I want to get like, you know, get into that zone, I open up LinkedIn. So it has a different feeling associated with the platform. That's why I like it, because people go to LinkedIn to like build business. It's like kind of the thing.
Yeah.
And so like there's a lot of trends and stuff on all different social media platforms, but it just has the most opportunity now because I like to look at dollar to follower ratios.
Yeah.
So you just go, how many followers have I got and how much money am I making? And so LinkedIn, the value of the per follower is like way higher than other social media platforms, and like of what you can actually earn, because people earn 3 times as much money. You can easily target them. You can make sure the right people are following you. And so like I'm really optimistic of the future of it, just because, and it's also really nice with the platform because LinkedIn has a lot of guards up, so you can't like extract data and information and like all this kind of stuff. It's quite difficult to, but that's kind of made it better.
Yeah.
Because there's not a lot of software platforms that want to build on it.
Yeah.
So while Instagram has ManyChat, you know, or Facebook or whatever, where it's like I think Instagram bought ManyChat. So it's an automation DM system. Like LinkedIn doesn't, it has that kind of, but they shut all of these companies down.
Yeah.
And it kind of goes against them. But like, so I just like it because it's the place that has much more opportunity to make money.
Matt, that was fun.
Heaps of fun.
Loved
Thanks
it.
for having me on.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Thanks,
Cheers.
Dan. It's fun.